G'day everyone. Baal the Dread is an epic but difficult dragon boss fight that features lots of fire and lightning breath attacks, bites, slashes, lunges, and a surprising amount of mobility for a mangled old dragon with a missing leg. Like most late game DLC bosses, his attacks are relentless, they do massive damage and leave very little window to damage him back. The main approach I'm recommending focuses on maximizing the damage on the Dragon Hunter Katana weapon skill. But the Bolt of Gransax and a few incantations in particular can really wreck the boss too and are just as strong. Either way, there's no real way to simplify this fight too much. It's one of those bosses where you just have to learn the mechanics. So let's take a look at my kill attempt, and then I'll show you some clips of alternate builds and a few of Baal's important attacks that you don't see on this particular attempt. First up, we have his straight line fire breath attack, which is given away by him leaning back a little bit and producing fire at the mouth. You simply need to sprint sideways in either direction, and you do need to be pretty quick. This can catch you out if you're not moving straight away. When the boss flies up into the air like this, you need to do one roll the moment that he starts moving back towards the ground, and then you've got time for one attack after this. Now, as a general rule for this whole fight, after you do one, maybe two attacks underneath the boss, you need to run out from underneath him. He will nearly always respond to you attacking underneath him with this downwards fire breath you can see here. This is a pretty common pattern, so after these fire breaths, you want to run back in and just get one quick poke on him to reset stance damage. If you're not aware, stance damage resets every 6 seconds, so it's important that you keep it rolling. Now, when Baal leans back and charges lightning at the mouth like this, he's about to do a fast lunge and grab attack that's pretty deadly. One roll towards him is all you need, and then this is a good chance to get another attack in. As I said, he generally doesn't like this, and he'll usually respond with that breath at the feet. You need to run away and then get back in and poke. This roar, which I don't dodge because it comes out pretty quickly, precedes a lightning attack where he'll continually blast your position for a few seconds in a row. As you saw there, you just need to run or roll for a few seconds until it stops. Again, after most major attacks, you can get in one hit and then back off for the fire breath. Now, because I've been poking after each of those breath attacks, I've maintained stance damage, and here we go. Now, if you do get a stance break, make the most of it. Use a fully charged Dragon Wound Slash, follow that with the critical, and then you can get in another Dragon Wound Slash afterwards. Now, at around 50 to 60% health, the boss is going to transition into phase 2, marked by this huge lightning and fire roar that he does here. Now, he always follows this by flying up and doing a lap of the sky while he sends a barrage of fireballs at you. Now, if you haven't noticed, I've played this entire fight unlocked on from the boss. This is the only time where I lock onto the boss as he flies off. He always flies in the same direction, so all you need to do once you're locked on is run backwards and to the right until he lands. As he lands, a single roll towards him as he hits the ground is all you need to dodge this. It does take a bit of getting used to though. Now, I usually get a few of these earlier, but when the boss leaps over you like this, he's about to follow it with a big tail whip. You need to do one dodge into the tail as it comes out. Now, when the boss rears up with its right wing up and it's roaring, it's about to do a 3-part attack. I specify roaring there because there's other attacks that start with its right wing, but no roaring, and those are different. I'll show you those after. For this one though, it's a 3-part attack. It'll be 2 quick slashes which require back-to-back rolls, a short break, and then a big lightning slam, which also requires a roll if you're close to it. Again, we use the normal attack pattern, get in one weapon skill, and then move away from the fire breath. I know it's hard not to be greedy and go for more, but you've really got to stick to it. And keep the poke up if you can. It's also just free damage, all those small hits add up. Now, this attack's pretty easy to see coming, it's just a big ground AoE, just move away from him. These are good times to use flasks if you need to. Now, you'll see me get greedy here and go for an extra weapon skill, but as you'll see, I get punished for it. It's really important on these late game bosses to just stick to the gaps that you know and don't do anything more. This is a similar but slightly different leap attack where he leaps over you, but this time the tail swipe is more of a vertical slam as opposed to a full swipe of the room. When you see the lightning charge his mouth like this, again that's the leap attack that you'll want to dodge once into him, and it's a good chance to again punish him in the neck. Alright, here we have what I found to be probably the hardest mechanic to deal with. When the boss is lowish on health, he'll leap back up into the air and charge this huge lightning effect that you can see at his mouth here. He always follows this with 2 big breath attacks. The first breath will be a big line along the edge of the room somewhere that'll send out a fire wave that you need to dodge over as it projects towards you. Let's see that one. Alright, now the second beam is always on top of you in a straight line from a random direction. I found this the hardest to dodge, but as it hits you, you need to roll twice, either left or right. Here I roll too early and get hit, but if you wait a little bit longer than I did here, you should be fine with 2 rolls. Fortunately, I was full health, and I've done the rest of this fight pretty clean, so I've got plenty of flasks left. Again, we see the continuous lightning strikes in a moment, but this does happen sometimes where you get stuck in between his legs. If this happens, just roll like a madman like I do here, it's actually kind of effective. In a moment, we'll see the same attack that starts with his right wing up and a roar. Again, this is a 3-part attack. The first 2 rolls are immediately back to back, followed by a slight delay and then a third one when he hits the lightning strike. After that, we get our usual attack in, but this time he's low enough that we can just finish him off with a little poke. Alright, now let's have a quick look at a few other attacks that we didn't see here. The other main breath attack that we didn't see is a sweep of the room. You simply need to dodge over it as it projects towards you. One thing I'll note is that there's always this little bit that comes out faster on the far left. Don't let that distract you. I would often try and roll through that and then get hit by the main wave coming through. Just ignore that bit on the far left. Alright, here we have one of the other leap attacks. This one's pretty simple. It's a slight tilt of the right wing into the air, which you can deal with by doing a single roll, and then you've got time to get one attack in. Alright, another attack that starts with his right wing back like this is again a 3-part attack, but it's one slash, and then a body slam, and then the fire breath downwards, which for some reason I just didn't quite make it out of. Another one we didn't see is when he rears back like this and charges his right wing with lightning. He's about to do a big single slam down. Again, one roll into him will do the trick. In phase 2, he'll do another version of the one where he flies up and then slams down. This time though, there's a second roll that needs to be done just a moment after he lands. There'll be a follow-up burst of fire from the ground. Now when the boss starts with its left wing in the air, that's a double slash with a slight delay between them, just 2 rolls. When he rears back like this, sometimes he just does 2 bites to the front with a slight delay between each. He does another variation of this where he does 2 bites and then follows that with a downwards breath attack, as you see here. And I think that's most of his main attacks. I'm sure I've missed 1 or 2 slight variation, but that'll put you in pretty good stead for now. So let's take a look at this build in more detail, and then I'll show you very briefly a couple of the alternatives I recommend. As you've seen, this build focuses on using big dragon wound slashes, which is the skill on the Dragon Hunter's Great Katana. To amplify this skill, you want to take the Shard of Alexander, which is just a flat buff to all skills, as well as the Godfrey icon, which buffs charged skills, which the Dragon Wound Slash does count as if you charge it. I also recommend the Great Jar Arsenal so that you can equip some stronger defensive armor, such as the Sentinel, which gives you higher fire and lightning resistances. And the 4th talisman is a bit of a flex. You can either take Flame Drake or Bolt Drake talismans for defenses. The Dragon Crest Great Shield is good too. Or in this build, I use the Blessed Blue Dew talisman, which slowly restores FP, just to enable me to keep sending those Dragon Wound slashes. For Crystal Tears, the Opaline Hard tier is always good, and then the second one here is pretty much flex based on whatever build you're using. I just used the Strength one in this build, for example. If you don't want to use the Dragon Hunter's Great Katana, the Bolt of Gransax is a really good alternative. You can use the weapon skill on this to get a lot of good ranged poke in between the boss's abilities. You can use pretty much the exact same build, just substitute in the Lightning Shrouding Cracked tier for boosted lightning damage. If you're a high faith build, there's a few really good incantations you can use, one of which being the Ancient Dragon's Lightning Strike. Against larger models, this ability hits multiple times and does really massive damage. I was simply testing this incantation with about 25 faith and completely unoptimized, and it still did between 4 and 5k damage each time. I can only imagine what it'll do in a full faith build. Pest Threads is also very strong for the same reason. Both of these are definitely worth trying if you're running a full faith build. So that's it for Bale the Dread, everyone. Definitely a challenging fight, but really fun, and a very epic scenery to be set in. If the video helped you at all, please drop a like, it really helps me out. Thanks for listening, everyone. Cheers.